Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another video of the F122 Driver Commode with Red Bull, episode number 53 today for the Mexican Grand Prix of Season 3, round number 15. If you missed the previous episode at Suzuka, I recommend you go and check that one out, because spoiler, I actually stormed through the field to actually win the race in that episode as well. R&D though, looking at R&D to close out this season, we got that rear downforce one in now, so now we're going to, I want to get it, not have that imbalance though, so we're going to rush a front downforce one, 35% failure chance. I think it will go on, and yes, it's a miracle, it has happened. Whether it's going to rain for the race though, so that's annoying because it's going to be rain for the whole race, so it's going to be a no stop strategy. Unfortunately, I'd love to be able to have that sort of dry to race. So the championship, we have a 29-point lead over Charles Leclerc. Now, because Brazil is a sprint race, obviously we need to grow that gap to 34 points. That is the gap we are looking for. So only need to outscore him by 5 points, which is definitely doable here at Mexico. But obviously we've got other factors. We've jumped McLaren. And McLaren have decided not to bring an upgrade, although there is a regulation change coming in on the engine and thing. Ferrari have done so, as have Mercedes, but for them, you know, both of them haven't really turned up this season. And we're going to have a fresh engine in the back as well to power us to victory. So, nevertheless, we're here in qualifying. Mexico hasn't been a strong circuit for me on F122. I feel like it would be a stronger circuit on F1 2021 than F1 22, personally speaking. That's just what I think personally. Even though we did manage to win here in season 2, it's still not potentially enough, you know, to be a good track for me on this game. On the medium compound tyres, we're down. That time's down to P14, so that's a okay sign to show that we have got some pace in the car, but now we need to do the business on the soft compound. Lando Norris has gone fast, he's won a 15.3. We have gone fractionally faster than Albon. We need to be a little bit quicker than that through Sector 1, especially the fact Sector 1 is where historically I've gained time on the AI compared to the other two sectors. But nevertheless, we have gained time here through Sector 2. Half a tenth, we're now to, well, a lot more than that. There's a couple of tenths there going through Sector 2 as we look to get the grip from the soft tyre. That's definitely losing time on the exit of that curve, annoyingly, and only still fractionally up on Albon. So we've actually lost time, slightly lost a bit of time to Albon through Sector 2. And then we go through Sector 3, through this stadium section, through the final corner. And it's actually a good exit out of the final corner. We've gained half a tenth out of that, almost 4 tenths up on our previous best time, and that is enough, sadly, for only P11. Yeah, as I said, don't really know what's going on with Mexico, but to be fair, I mean, we are nearly 4 tenths down on our teammate, which is about average for qualifying. Norris on pole from Sainz and Ricciardo. It's really only Leclerc that we need to think about, although Norris could get himself into action if we have a poor race. So we'll see what we can do from 11th on the grid. Time for the race day's Mexican Grand Prix.
It's time then for the Mexico City Grand Prix, a race which gave Honda their first ever victory in 1965. American Richard Ginter winning from 3rd on the grid, and what of the Honda-powered cars this year? Red Bull have been strong here in recent seasons. Can they keep that record going today? 17 corners then at the Autodromo. Hermanos Rodriguez, 10 to the right and 7 to the left, and all of them will have to be tackled in difficult wet conditions here today. No DRS assistance either, at least not for the start of the race, but the best overtaking opportunities will still be down into turn 1 or shortly after into turn 4. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, George Russell and Leclerc, Hamilton, Ocon, Vettel and Pierre Gasly, Phoenix, Magnussen, Alex Albon and Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, Schwartzman, Valtteri Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou, Latifi. Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Joining me on this very wet day is a man who is no stranger to driving in these miserable conditions. Anthony Davidson, you've driven open cockpit, you've driven sports cars. How does the wet weather experience change between different disciplines?
Well, I wouldn't say there's much difference in all honesty. You know, besides the terrifying closing speeds you find in something like sports cars with different categories all sharing the same racetrack, driving in the rain is, well, driving in the rain. Of course, the biggest difference is the fact that Formula One is open cockpit. On one hand, they'll be cold and wet without a roof, but on the other, it's much simpler to pull a tear-off away from the visor than it is to clear a dirty windscreen, so I don't think it's too bad.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
So the race strategy is going to be no stop, unfortunately, because there's only light rain for the entire race. So it's 18 laps on a set of intermediate tyres. So 5 red lights, Mexican Grand Prix, the penultimate round of the season, away we go. And it's, as usual in this game, it's an absolutely dreadful start. Albon and Magnussen have already gone past, and that's just absolutely typical. A wet weather start for me on this year's game. We're going to dive down the inside at turn 1. Can we try and get Vettel as well? Not quite, but we'll try and keep it in. Try and get with the outside turn 2 to the inside turn 3. Lovely little move there. And up to P10. So we're actually made a position from the start. Next up is Ocon and Gasly, future teammates in real life. And Hamilton. What a dive bomb that was. They were just so slow at that corner. As Hamilton tries to come back at me, but we're unable, we're not having a position. We retain we're up to P7 now. But here's a replay, you know, Ocon, Gasly. Gasly just dived on Hamilton, which took Hamilton wide into the corner. But then Hamilton obviously came back as he had that tighter line on wall with him. But unfortunately Hamilton, little bit of contact because he did not want to yield the position at that point. But nevertheless, we've retained P. He's down to P8. We're down up to P7. I don't think there's any contact. I don't think he's got any damage. Hopefully we haven't got any. I don't think we've got any damage. And oh, something's happened here. Going to get Russell here. There's a bit of tyre bank between myself and Russell. Leclerc goes one side of Sainz. We're going to go the other side of Sainz. A bit of tyre bank between myself and Sainz. Downey will have the inside for this hairpin in the stadium section. We're up to P4. What a start. It's Ricciardo who tried to get... Sorry, Sainz was trying to get Ricciardo. Ricciardo had none of it. And that just slowed Sainz way up. So, you know, and then that just caused a concertina effect between Leclerc and Russell behind Sainz, and were able to take full advantage as those three, too busy battling each other. So we're up to P4. Crucially though, that could be enough for the championship. I don't know. As well, I'll be getting 12 points. Leclerc is down in P7, so it's not quite enough, but we are closing up to Ricciardo, and that would be enough if we got third. So obviously as it stands, it would be enough to get the championship a race early if we get in front of Ricciardo, but Sainz is going to do his best to spoil it. We have tried to have a look at Rebecca Ricciardo. So I don't know if there was a slight bit of contact there, but we had to go take avoiding action because Ricciardo's just so slow through the corners. Engineer did say it's some sort of damage, some sort of issue that's causing him issues, and we eventually get past on lap number 5 and up to P3. That is accordingly enough, but look at the train behind. There's literally the entire grid is now stuck behind Ricciardo and myself. But of course Ricciardo isn't going to be slow for long. Obviously he's got that momentum after that podium he had recently as well at Singapore. Now it's just a question of whether we can defend from Ricciardo. P3 is enough as it stands, but whether or not people leave way to allow Leclerc in, we'll have to wait and see. As well as we're watching Sebastian Vettel, the man we passed earlier in the Ferrari, and he's going for a big dive at the hairpin, but then he's retiring from the race as well, so he's out. Further down the field, Joe Guanyu, has had a pirouette, a spinala, but he is able to reverse onto the grass and is able to keep it running and will move away. Sadly, now in last place. But yes, not the first time Joe has spun in this series. Magnussen, though, does the same thing lap later, so it is treacherous on those white lines by the looks of it. Not obviously, it's an old style circuit, and somebody who's really struggling for pace in the rain is Sir Lewis Hamilton. Not having a great time out there. He's about a second to 2 seconds a lap slower than the train that's been stuck behind me this entire race. Basically, nothing happened. Once Ricciardo didn't have the pace to get past and we overtake. So, we are going to come around the corner and it will be P3, and I think that is enough for the World Championship. It is definitely a podium, which I'll definitely take. Imagine from 11th on the grid, definitely helped out by Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz having their little kerfuffle in the medium sector. But let's see if it is.
It's certainly been an incredible year for Formula One, and our drivers have pushed themselves this season, making it one of the most compelling years of racing in history. There can only be one champion, however, and here they are now, our new Formula One World Drivers' Champion.
Yes, finally, I've won the World Championship on F1 22. I mean, it has been coming, to be fair, because, I've never been this dominant in any driver career mode. Usually, it goes down to the final race. Usually, there's only a handful of points between me and the person who finishes in second place. But Charles Leclerc finishing down in 7th place, myself finishing in 3rd was enough. In actual fact, Lando Norris is now the man who's moved up to 2nd place with a good end to the season. Leclerc and Verstappen will be very disappointed with the way this season has gone for both of them, and Leclerc finally has been defeated because he won, of course. He is a double world champion in this career mode. Won at Ferrari and has since won at Red Bull as well. In terms of the Constructors' Championship, we wrap that up anyway, but Mercedes move in front of Ferrari because Ferrari are having an absolutely capitulation. Rivalry, we lead that 17-12. We've only got one race left at Brazil, but there's a sprint race, so there should be plenty of points on offer to round off that little rivalry between myself and Hamilton. So there we go, confirmation with both Drivers and Constructors Championship. It does mean that we can now relax at Brazil and go out and try and see what result we can bring back there. But Lando Norris, 4 Grand Prix wins now, considering the 13th and 16th they had at the start of the season. But will that be enough for the extra funding that McLaren need? Because Ricciardo has started to be a little bit consistent, 98 points, but nevertheless, it's not the Daniel that we remember from all those years ago, because the Daniel we remember would be up there with Lando scoring race wins, and that hasn't happened. Ferrari also disappointing from them, but Vettel DNF today, Sainz with only those 2 race wins. How long will that go on for? And even Hamilton is definitely struggling in the Mercedes, although Russell is only 1 win for Mercedes all season as well. So yes, finally, I've won the Drivers' Championship in Season 3. So we are drivers. We will have 1 race to go, and then Leclerc will have to surrender the number 1 car as we take over Season 4. So that's where I'm going to leave it today's episode. If you have enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. See plenty more F1 22 driver career videos as when they come out. Until the next video, then I'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your day, and goodbye.